So our new partnership with A10 Networks SSL Decryption is in place to provide end-to-end visibility to help us hunt down today's advanced threats. Now today's largest, most important threats that we're facing aren't necessarily from state actors or from cyber criminals, but they're really the sales guy who sells you a single magic bullet to resolve all of your security needs, when in reality it takes multiple products completely integrated together and deployed correctly in order to give organizations a fighting chance. What we're able to do with our integration with A10 Networks is provide both inbound SSL decryption as well as outbound SSL decryption, man-in-the-middle style. So we have complete visibility into all the network traffic so that we can help find the compromise so you can be the hunter and not the hunted. Visibility is the key to advanced threats. 25 to 75% of our threats of all internet traffic is SSL encrypted. And just imagine for a second if 1/3 of the passengers at the airport were allowed just to go right on through the TSA uninspected. It's pretty much the same thing, so why should your network traffic be any different? What we can do with full packet capture and security analytics is provide pervasive visibility into all areas along the cyber kill chain. Starting with infected host detection and malware detection, we're able to parse through and identify hundreds of different characteristics of every file that traverses your network to find malware, as well as multiple methods for finding infected hosts. All along the kill chain, we move over to lateral movement detection, where we can do things like parse through NetBIOS and identify Windows command shell or named pipes, as well as data leakage with fingerprinting RAR and zip files and upload commands. And finally, incident response and forensics. So being able to pivot through terabytes and terabytes of information instantly so that we can either do root cause analysis or hit the fast forward button and say, hey, we had this incident, what happened after that? Do you really know your adversaries? In the EMC CERT, we categorize threat intelligence into 4 different buckets: state actors, cyber criminals, hacktivists, and script kiddies. If you can't analyze the packets or the network sessions and protocols, how do you really know who your adversary is in any given incident? Without the visibility, you don't know what you're missing. How well do you understand your malware? When you're attacked with malware, do you know if it's off the shelf or if it's targeted? And if malware is downloaded over SSL and then it deletes itself, how do you really know? If you take a look at last week's Verizon Data Breach Report, 95% of the malware used in breaches has only been around for a month, and 4 out of 5 samples are only been around for a week. So malware evermore has that fresh smell to it. Here's a pretty interesting example of off-the-shelf malware. If you notice, this is an academic domain in China at the University of Policy and Management. But if you look at the referring header, if you were to click on this English What's New News section, something very different would be happening. You'd be actually activating and executing some obfuscated JavaScript, which would actually run in your browser, and it's obfuscated with an eval function. What would happen on the endpoint is you'd have a 404 page can't be displayed error message. But what would really be going on is you'd be redirected to 333.292.com, which is a randomized domain. You'd be downloading a host.txt file, which would then download 1.exe, 2.exe, all the way down to 30.exe. Now, why this is a particularly malicious attack is because that host.txt file could be updated every day, every hour, or randomly on the fly. So you could be downloading 30 pieces of code, 50 pieces of code, or 10 pieces of code. So good luck writing a signature, taking a hash, and repackaging this in the 5-minute timeout of a sandbox just may not happen. Here's an example of some infected host detection. So we have a host that's kind of enumerating through about 10 different IPs with the exact same size session. This is just a handful of the methods that we use to find infected hosts when you do full packets reconstruction. Looking for 0 or small payload sessions, non-RFC compliant protocols, the presence of crypto when it doesn't match the RFC for SSH or SSL protocols, single ICMP packets, which malware will do to check its internet connectivity, DNS that has embedded files, interval detection like you see the command and control at the bottom, or looking for blacklisted IPs, domains, host names, and file names. Here's an example of some botnet activity where we have a spam campaign for the holidays, happy greetings for a new year, etc. So being able to not only parse email subjects, but also leveraging our advanced phishing parser, which actually compares the sending domain with the href domain in the SMTP protocol to see if it's been spoofed. We can also do the same comparison with links embedded within emails. The next step would be to do root cause analysis, where we can reconstruct exactly what's going on and find out exactly which of your security tools failed and allowed a threat on our network. Next use case would be data leakage. This is where you don't want Donald Trump to pay you a visit, right? Here we have a host that's uploading some security information with an HTTP post command with some credit cards data. And down below we have a sequence of events where we have a 2 meg executable, and then a few seconds later they open up an SSH session back to the same botnet, which is identified below as a black hole exploit indicator because of a anomalous user agent string in combination with an HTTP GET without a post command. All of this can be alerted on in real time. And for a final example of data leakage is where we're leveraging logs with packets. So here we have a fingerprinted signature match for a Dooku virus, which is a flavor of Stuxnet. We reconstruct the session where we see him downloading a binary file and then uploading information with a post command. Now, even though this information is encrypted, we can, because we have stored the packets, we can actually decrypt that using the encryption key from the host. So if an IR guy has access to the endpoint, he can grab that encryption key. So it's important to understand that 35 to 40% of traffic, and this is pretty similar with most of our customers, that's a typical percentage for corporate traffic, is SSL encrypted. That's a pretty big blind spot. It's about a third or more of your traffic. According to Gartner, half of the attacks by 2017 are going to also be SSL encrypted. After the wake of the Snowden leaks, web applications like Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're encrypting the entire application with SSL traffic, so it's becoming more and more important and prevalent. And over 80% of organizations today do not decrypt their traffic. So in summary, speed matters. The ability to pivot through terabytes and terabytes of information is absolutely critical, and doing capture time enrichment where you're tagging it with external threat intelligence and internal asset intelligence is what's going to give your analyst the fighting chance. Secondly, traditional tools, perimeter-based solutions, and signature-based solutions just don't work. Essentially, what I say to our customers is, when you walk in the door in the morning, assume you have 5 or 10 hosts that are infected on your network, then what? Then what are you going to do? Third, we lack prioritization. Being able to identify incidents, having the full history and context around the incident, so that you can gain intelligence in the future around your adversary and the threats is essential. And lastly, the square peg round hole syndrome. Logs and signatures just don't work. What you need is complete visibility, leveraging SSL decryption, full packet capture, in combination with logs and additional intelligence to generate alerts and integrate into your intelligence program and your workflow. And that will help you hunt for advanced threats today, in today's landscape. All right, and that's it. Thank you.